Working Man Radio.
We, the wage earners, are the job creators, and we have had our asses kicked long enough. This is how we fight back. I want to be very clear. I mean that word. I'm talking about a real revolution. Revolution. The real thing. A radical change in social, economic, and political relationships. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want there to be any question. I'm talking about a revolution. Now, do I want you to take up a rifle and go find a rooftop? No, don't do that. Don't do that just yet. Do I want you to start pouring gasoline in empty whiskey bottles and sticking rags in the top of them? No, don't do that just yet. Let's hold off on the Molotov cocktails for now. Let's hold off. Don't go throw the rocks. Let's not erect the barricades just yet. We're not ready for that just yet, because that's not what a revolution is. Before we start the revolution, and by the way, revolutions, they happen. Before the revolution commences, we need to understand what revolution is. We need to understand what it is in general terms, and we need to understand what our revolution is. Because, this is the first lesson in revolution. Revolutions are very, very simple. Revolutions are revolutions between your ears. It is a revolution in ideas, the ideas that make up our world, the things we believe that make us obey the law and respect our institutions and respect our wealthy as being our betters. And when we cease to believe in those things, things change. And if you come up with the contradictory, if you come up with the revolutionary truth, the thing that is absolutely undeniably true, they can't deny it, but they must. They can't deny it, but it destroys them. And so they must resist it. And that's when you get the flack. That's when you get the friction. That's when you get the heat. And that's when you think about people with rifles and Molotov cocktails and the barricades and the riots and the tear gas and the throwing rocks and throwing more substantial ordnance. That's the heat thrown off by the simple revolutionary change. You do not need to engage in that. To make a revolution, all you have to do is discover the revolutionary fact and state the fact every chance and every way you get, and organize people to state the fact every chance they get, and draw the lightning, because you will. But never stop repeating the fact, because sooner or later, the fact, people will realize they're right. And the people who try to shut you up will become oppressors. What is the fact? What is the revolution? It's very simple. It's a simple revolutionary fact, and I've already told you what it is. I've told you what it is many, many times. This is the key fact. This is the most important thing. This is the thing you say. Every comment you make about anything going on in the world relates back to this in some way. Every problem we have on earth relates back to this in some way. And who observed it? Karl Marx? Actually, he did. But not first. He actually observed that somebody else observed it. He actually observed it is a consequence of something that an earlier economist observed, and that earlier economist's name was Adam Smith. And that fact that Adam Smith observed is in the first sentence of The Wealth of Nation. The annual labor of a nation is the fund which furnishes the necessaries and conveniences of life. Adam Smith said that. Let me boil it down. Let me translate it into English. This is the revolutionary fact. Labor is the source of all wealth. Labor creates all the wealth. The rich do not create wealth. The rich extract wealth from the people who create it, the people who work. Why is this important? Because our entire capitalist structure, the entire right-wing project is about convincing you of the justice of the wealthiest Americans being wealthier than they've ever been before, while you languish, you can't even find work. They have to teach you that that's fair. And a lot of people want to make their criticism, but it's not fair. They want to talk about what's fair, but in order to talk about what's fair, you have to prove what's fair. You have to prove it. You can proclaim fairness. Well, it's just not fair. Who said? Limbaugh scoffs at your notions of fairness every day. What do you say to him? How do you prove to him? How do you prove to him that a wealthy elite controlling more of the nation's wealth than ever before and failing to create any jobs? How do you prove to him that that is fundamentally unfair and represents a fundamental failure of the system itself? The way you prove it is by proving that those people are extracting their wealth from working people. The wealth's not going to flow back to the working people because that's where they took it, who they took it from to start with. And they are never going to send it back unless you make them. And yes, it is a matter of fundamental justice that those who create the wealth get a reasonable share of it. They don't have to get it all. Just a share of it. That this magnificent prosperity we create in our industrial democracies, that we all create it and we all deserve a share of it. That's the revolutionary truth. If you go to work, you have earned a piece of the action. If you go to work and create wealth, you have earned a piece of what you create. The fruit of your labor is being extracted to Wall Street. And you have a right to demand that they send it back. That they do what they say they do, but they don't really. You have a right to demand that you say that you create jobs with this wealth. Well, God damn it, start creating them. Today, we demand it. We demand that you take the wealth you extract from us and use it for our benefit the way you said you did. You say you do that, do it. You say you do that, we're holding you to it. Because it is fair and just that if you're going to temporarily take the fruit of our labor from us, that it better, by God, inure to our benefit at some point. I will countenance a class of entrepreneurs who use that wealth to organize new business enterprises and bring products to market. I will countenance that, but sooner or later, the prosperity's got to flow back. And it's not flowing back. And I demand that it do, Sean. I'll tell you to your face, and if you want to fight about it, I'll whip your ass. And the same with you, Mr. Limbaugh. And the same with you, Mark Levin. And the same with you, Neil Bortz. And the same with you, Michael Savage. You can all go to hell. You are defending a system that is fundamentally unjust. What I demand is not fairness. I do not demand a gift. I'm not asking to be given something. I'm asking for what is mine. I'm asking for justice, not charity. On the basis of the fact of the principle that Adam Smith himself observed, that my labor creates the wealth. That's how you fight back. I'm Joe Lyles. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
You've been listening to Working Man Radio with Joe Lyles at joelylesradio.com.
Fight back 5 days a week at JoeLylesRadio.com.